Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Better Way of Life. It's Friday morning, and we're all feeling jolly tired. I nearly said the K word, which is clobbered. You insert your own words there if you want to. Let's start this week by having a look. I was showing Marianne and our previous guests these after we came off air last time, but these are some beautiful bits of art that my daughter has made of me. I just thought we'd share these to begin this episode. So here we are. Look at this lovely one. There's the first one we put. Where are my glasses? They're on my head. Can you see that? This is what my daughter thinks of me. Where are my glasses? They're on my head. What's this one say? Oh yes. This is because sometimes I lose things like my phone or my wallet. It's like, hi, Tesco, have looked in the freezer for my phone. Can you see the phone's actually attached to my ear? It's a beautiful thing. This is one of my favorites as well. Look, she's taken my hair off of this one. I'm an egg. Yummy. Look at my eyebrows on that one. Fantastic. Anyway.
I love kids. That reminds me what they've done there when I was younger. And I must have chucked this away at some point, although it's probably in my mum's loft. I used to, with a friend, we had a little club and we would make, I loved it so much, like a cutout of a girl, but a doll type thing.
Yep.
And then we make clothing. So we design clothing. And they would have the little flat things to go over the shoulder. You're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. But so literally you'd have like a piece of card with a head, arms, legs.
Oh yes, I remember. So these were like cardboard dolls, like flat.
Yeah, but
cardboard.
you can buy them where you can create them. But we would make our own. So literally we would make our own, design our own clothing. I love doing that so much. They were terrible designs, I'm sure. But I love doing it.
Beautiful thing.
And you know what? I watched my son and seeing, was that your daughter? Or I don't know, was it?
Yeah, that was my daughter that did that, yeah.
I watched Oliver even, like the other day. I think I shared the other day that he'd done something wrong. And then he said, oh, just a minute. And he went off in the other room and then he cut this heart out and he said, my mum's the best or something or other. And then just before that, he'd come in and said, I'm sorry, done it in big writing. And like mine have always like made birthday cards and they love doing things like that. With Oliver at the moment, we're doing a painting by numbers, but the one that we bought, and I've now bought two, but I have found a children's one, which I thought that I bought, far easier. But it's great. We sit down and it makes him concentrate. He does often have Benadryl on or something like that because he said he struggles to concentrate on just one thing. Surprise, surprise. But it's great. We sit and we chat about stuff.
Yeah.
And we can just do it for a little bit of time. Mine's exceptionally difficult and I can't see the numbers very well, but it is really good. I remember doing it years ago when I was feeling really, during a period of I felt down. And I used to just get a painting my numbers out and I used to have a little bit of a paint. Like doing puzzles though as well, isn't it? Or anything like that. It's quite good just to sort of zone out.
Yeah.
By zoning in.
Yeah, I've literally just come off another podcast recording where we were talking about hypnotism, and it was being described that actually we all have hypnotic states during the day, right? It's not, people think that hypnotism is where you lie back on the couch and it's like that. And the guy that was talking about it was saying, do you know, like when you're sat there in front of a computer and like 20 minutes goes and like nothing's happening or whatever, that's a hypnotic state. And when you drive somewhere for like 2 or 3 hours, especially if you've done it over and over again, and then you can't really remember the journey, that's a hypnotic state. That's a hypnotic state. I said it's a very dangerous state.
Well, I was going to say, what's happening in that time? Well, like it's okay if you're in front of the computer. I mean, I spend a lot of my life like that.
But apparently, if we've trained ourselves properly, that our body will know like how to react to danger points, right? Because I
Yeah,
said,
I guess maybe you're just a slightly different level. And do you know what? Whenever I see people talking about being focused and being driven and being all of that sort of stuff, sometimes I sit there and I think, does everything have to be for something? Like
yeah,
literally, does everything always have to be driving towards like whatever? Like earlier on, my mum popped over and she sat down, had a cup of tea, and I was doing a bit of marking, and we were sort of chatting a little bit, and I was looking at how appalling it is, the cost of some of the courses that are out there, because they might as well give them away, but that's another story.
yeah.
And I thought, does everything have to be like focused, this and that? Yes, we do to a certain extent, but you have to maximize. Because I did have a little bit of a not falling out with somebody on a post of mine, where it was the one where I was saying about I've forgotten what it was now. I can't remember what it was. It was about I'll always get it done. Like
Right.
always in the end, I always get it done. Like whatever it is, I always get it done. And then he was saying, or just don't. And I said, yeah, but sometimes you have to get things done. Like it's not an option when you're in business just to not. And he said, well, it is. And I was like, I'm not going to argue over this, but it's not. And then he sort of got into talking about how life's too short for worrying about stuff. And I said, but at what point did I say that I actually minded being the person that leaves it to the last minute? Because it's just the way my mind works, that unless somebody literally is metaphorically or physically booting me up the backside, I've got ages.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of us are like it, if we're honest. You know, people with ADHD get like the mick taken out of them, but truth be told, I think a lot of people are like it.
I think so. Now listen, I have our special guests ready. All right. They're on this little USB drive. Do you remember these? Like people used to use these all the time. We don't tend to see them these days because everybody.
Well, I get scared of using them because I was carrying my TV once out from where I did my training. I think I said this on here once, and I got home and I went, I probably got them. I think I've got it here actually. Oh, it's not.
All right.
It was like this.
Yeah.
So it had been on the thing.
Yeah.
And the inside, it was this one, I think.
Oh, right.
I think it might have been this one. Still here, I still got it. But this had come with my lanyard, and this wasn't there when I got home.
Oh,
so
no.
I drove back, and it was on the floor, and it had been driven over. So everything on there, I can't get.
Oh, nightmare. Well, fortunately, no one's driven over this one yet because this has got our guest Melody in it. All right. And apparently, if I do this and I plug it in, there she is.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no lie. I don't know.
Hello. How is it inside that USB drive?
You know, it looks bigger on the inside than it does from the outside.
It's like a TARDIS, isn't it?
Like a genie bottle.
It is.
It's
like
funny
a genie in a bottle. Yeah, there you go. I shan't sing the next bit because it.
I know the bit you might get booted off or something.
I honestly, that song. I must admit that song when it first came out,
huge.
Mind you, though, if we look back at a lot of the songs, I love listening to 80s stuff because that's my thing. And I sit there now and I think, like, there was Uptown. Is it Uptown? No, is it Uptown Girl? No. They're working as a waitress in a cocktail bar song.
Yeah.
When you hear the words for that,
dodgy.
It's really quite bad.
Yeah.
Like all the snowflakes now would be all over it.
But you know what? I used to like. What's great of a song is when Melody is a musician, so we've got just the right person in here, and you can tell us a little bit more about that in a minute. But what's great with a song is where the double entendre is there and whatever, and kids can listen to it and don't understand any of it, but everybody else is going, that's a bit close to the mark, isn't it? And that's the best.
Does that happen? I don't think there's as many songs like that now, though.
So much better than when it's like, obviously, you know, just talking about it, sort of thing. I don't know. My daughter listens to quite a lot of Sabrina Carpenter. She loves Sabrina Carpenter. She refuses to think I'm cool because I haven't talked to Sabrina Carpenter. When I have, then I will be cool. And Sabrina Carpenter does use quite a lot of double entendre in her songs. Is
she the one that was been all over LinkedIn recently with her hair being pulled? Is that right? I don't really know.
Oh yes, because her new album cover has her hair being tugged by a man.
Yeah, and that's awful.
Well,
I didn't say it was awful. I didn't say it was awful. I'm just saying that some have said it's awful and some said it haven't. And I think there's been lots of talk about it, but I've not got involved.
Well, I think it was talking about is it her the way that she's looking at the camera, is it saying I'm in charge of this, I want this to happen, or is she being controlled by a man, in which case it's an awful thing? And you know, but we won't go down that whole route. But Melody, talk to us about you and what you do and your music.
Sure, absolutely. My mom was on Spinal Tap. Y'all talking about that? I haven't seen the album cover, but you know, if you know Spinal Tap about that, maybe they should have considered that vantage.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love a bit of Spinal Tap?
Right. Anyways, hi, I'm Melody Crowson, and I've really enjoyed my, connecting with y'all on the LinkedIn and everything. It's been pretty cool. It's been a nice platform to go that route. You know, when I initially made it, I didn't have my status as a songwriter and musician, you know, and so it's been really neat I've connected with some groups on there. There's like a writers and illustrators group on there, and they have y'all seen that? They do Thursday poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I've been enjoying that. You know, it's been really neat because I've had that account for maybe 15 years or so, but only recently have I been trying to like network and engage on there. So it's been.
Is that in the groups? Is that a group on LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's a group.
Yeah, it's a group.
I don't use the groups. I don't tend to. I've been in them a little bit, but the ones I've been in haven't been, which probably sums it up really.
I actually connected you into a couple of groups this week. Actually,
yeah, I've seen. It was good though. It was good.
Yeah, and put a few comments in there to put the cat amongst the pigeons, etc. Because I thought that was worthwhile. Yeah, I think we've tended to go away from groups in the UK a little bit because when I first came to LinkedIn, groups were everything.
Really?
A long time ago, 14 years ago, when I joined LinkedIn,
yeah,
groups were absolutely everything. Yeah, they were the bee's knees, and you were desperate to get into a group. Nowadays, your own personal profile and networking is just so much better.
Is it though? See, I prefer. That's why with Facebook, when we were recording with another guest, when we came off afterwards, we were talking about the difference between Facebook and LinkedIn, and I don't really do Instagram and stuff. And I said that the side of Facebook that I quite like is the groups, to be quite honest, because for me, I can. I like LinkedIn. I like Facebook because I see it. I can see it. But I feel like with LinkedIn, there's the group bit. I quite like that bit because it's that sort of networking, but on the same platform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What platforms are you on, Melody?
So just the LinkedIn and TikTok, actually.
On the TikTok? You're on the old TikTok.
And you know, that's a new thing too. So just like how only I've been recently engaging with the LinkedIn. And honestly, I didn't realize the LinkedIn had this kind of content on it, you know, that I enjoy engaging with. You know what I mean? Like, I never really saw it on there until I started kind of reaching out. I don't even really know how I come across like that writers and illustrators circle, but you know, it got put in front of me and I really enjoyed it. And then the TikTok, back in December, it was like, oh, this is all going to be banned. Everybody thought, TikTok was going to come to an end, right? And so Sean, my husband, and I, we were like, making our these songs and going to promote them, trying to get them out in front of the world. And it's like he does the Facebook, so he has an artist page on there that he's had for a long time, since before he and I met, where he has his music that he's written and videos he's made, and so, but the TikTok, we were like, hey, before it goes away, why not just go ahead and try to reach that crowd while it's available?
Well,
and
yeah,
so
you gotta do it before I buy it.
Yeah, if there's a chance that more people can see it, let's do it now, because it's going to go away soon. And so my whole life I was like, oh, what do I need a Facebook for, but once I've become a songwriter, I've always been a singer. I've been singing since I was talking. My parents were musicians, and so I grew up singing, in the 4-year-old church choir, school choir, and I started playing guitar as a teenager. I grew up around piano, so
oh, do you know how many times I've heard this kind of story? Like, because I interview musicians. I don't know whether you knew that, but I've got a podcast interview musicians.
Yeah, it's actually, I've been watching a few of them. I was enjoying it, different topics that were talked about.
What sort of music?
So mostly gospel these days. We both Sean and me love all sorts of music. It's just a love for music. When there's physical food we put in our stomach, and then there's music is like the food for our soul. And I think a lot of people feel that way. Not everybody has that connection, but I think a lot of people, understand
my son's playing drums right now. He's getting his food for
Exactly.
Literally, every so often he'll just go, I'm just going to do this. I've just got to go and play my drums. And when he was revising for his exams and stuff last year, if he was stressed, he'd just like go and spend time on there, and then just come out, and he'd be like,
so important. So important.
I was still an office manager at a furniture store here, and one of my friends that I worked with, she kind of noticed I was having a bit of a slum or whatever. She's like, how long has it been since you played your guitar? And and like I was like, wow, that was like a real eye-opener for me, because I was like, it's been like 6 months actually, and she's like, I think you should play, because like you're not seeming like yourself, kind of, in a way. And
did you go
sidetracked for about a half a year, just career focused and whatnot. And but and that evening I went home, and I was got the knocked the dust off of it, and and
I know Samuel struggles if we
stuck with me is like, I need to make time for that.
I know Samuel, he plays guitar as well. He's self-taught, but he struggles if we go away on holiday. He really struggles, because he's like, I've really got to get back.
He misses music, and that's satisfactory in a sense too. You can sing along with it, but when you play and you can put your you can physically make it happen, there's just magic with that. And
he needs to get himself a little ukulele that he can just.
Those are good. Those are great. I
love one of those.
Size guitar.
He'll do, I don't know whether it's the drums or the guitar, but he does music production, because he's doing that at college as well.
Wonderful.
And it is quite painful, because he literally does get absorbed in what he's doing, and I'm like, seriously, you're not at college, you need to be doing stuff. But he would just be there writing music, and hours go by.
Absolutely.
Hours go by. And he was rapping the other day as well. I heard him rapping. He's normally metal, like rock metal.
Well, he's going to be Linkin Park all over again, isn't he?
He used to like that music.
Yeah.
And then he sort of drifted away from it, and I thought, thank goodness. And then, so I went to see Green Day, and I went to see Ghost with him as well.
Look at her.
And we went to see Metallica. And then when I walked in the house the other day, I could hear him, and he was up there doing rap again. And I thought, oh, we're back to this again.
I love it.
Yeah.
Spitting bars. Marvelous.
The language was a bit choice, and I thought, well, he's 17 there, so
it's because so you know what? It's because swear words are the easiest thing to rap.
Yeah.
It's poetry though as well. I do love
It
the
is.
fact that it's poetry. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You've all know the Smosh song. You must know Smosh. Yeah. Do you know Smosh, Melody?
Smosh? No.
No. They were like
They
were a comedy rap.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
They released a song called Fire Truck.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows how to say fire truck. It starts with F. Anyway.
Oh.
Yes.
Clever stuff.
Yes.
I was like, why didn't I write that?
Melody, can I ask whereabouts you are? I lived over in the States when I was younger for a bit. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, I'm in Houston, Texas. We're in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
So it's very diverse here, and I love that about it, you know, because man, just there's culture everywhere in Houston.
Have you always lived there?
What's that?
Have you always lived there?
Pretty much. I was born in Paris, Texas. It's fun getting to tell people from
Paris,
Paris, and they all like, "Oh, a Parisian, you know, how fancy." And then, you know, they hear my accent. Boy, you sure don't sound like you're from France.
Great film. Great film.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Harry Dean Stanton, maybe.
Harry Dean Stanton, the longest road trip of all time.
No lie, I haven't seen that in a long time.
That's a great film. What I want to know, and we'll come back to LinkedIn because it's kind of our home from home, but I want to know what sort of thing you're putting on TikTok, because TikTok is a funny old beast, right?
Yeah.
Marianne's gone off to get the dog or
Sorry,
something like that.
barking.
Because I struggle with TikTok. I'll tell you now, I struggle with TikTok because I just can't find my flow with it. My most popular video. Hi, by the way, if someone's coming in. You're more than welcome to come in and have a look. Say hello. There's Lottie. My most popular video on TikTok is this. I don't know whether you can hear it.
Slightly.
It's quite quiet. You got to wait for the lyrics.
Oh, okay. There's lyrics.
Oh yeah, there's lyrics coming. It's a bit quiet. I should have plugged it in, right? So it was electric, but. Wait for it. Here it comes. Anyway.
That's the one too.
Yeah. That's my impression of Bob Dylan.
Gospel music's far nicer than that.
That was
music.
And it was Buddy Guy.
But yeah, so what sort of thing are you putting up on the old TikTok?
So, you know, with TikTok, I like that platform because, all right, I made my, you know, getting established as a musician now. You know, I've written these songs. I want them, you know, my husband's written these songs. We've written songs together. So we have solo songs. We have songs we collaborate on. And it's like, okay, well, first step, I need to make a YouTube page because that's the platform, right? You know, and here's the thing, not everybody has streams on, you know, Spotify, whatnot. So, you know, made the YouTube page. And, you know, you're learning more about it, you know, copywriting a song. Oh, does YouTube count as publishing? You know, learning all this stuff as we go, you know. And, oh, it's published because it's available to the public. So, yes, it's published. So it has to be copywritten differently, things like that. And, you know, I'm seeing that, like, you know, man, there's all these, all these warning videos on YouTube of what not to put on YouTube if you don't want to be shut down. And I'm like, okay, well, I also do a lot of covers, you know, so let me just do covers and put those on TikTok and put my original songs also on TikTok, but just save original songs for the YouTube. And because TikTok apparently, you know, anybody can, you know, cover any song and it's totally fine. You know, there's no like, oh, you don't have permission to do this. It's kind of strange because you do see blocked on there. I don't know if you know your TikTok, but sometimes it will be like, oh, this audio is not available, or it'll say something different, like this audio. not available in this country, maybe because of copyright issues or something like that. And so it'll just be silent, which kind of runs the video a lot of times, you know, because a lot of times they're synced together, you know, and the audio makes the video. But yeah, so I put covers on TikTok, a lot of covers on TikTok, and then for, you know, just other content that seems funny, and you see what other people enjoy, and then, you know, I'm like, oh, I enjoy that, so I just kind of funny stuff, you know. As I was always like, oh, I'm not going to be one of these people that has social network to put in, you know, pictures of my cat, but a lot of people like that, so I actually have, you know, just a couple of pictures that, you know, I'm like, oh, it's a cool still life shot, you know, there's my cat and a cup of coffee, you know, whatever, and you get hundreds of views on that, and all these like little hearts on a picture of your cat sitting by a cup of coffee, you know. But I mostly enjoy it for trying to share my music with people, you know, and get a following on there and it's opened up a lot of connections as well. Just getting to, I'm sorry, collaborate with other artists, other musicians, you know, that they perform songs on there. You can like duet with people and make a song together remotely, and that's pretty cool. So I've enjoyed that platform for that. But what we have, I'm so excited because we actually got it on YouTube just yesterday after all this confusion on submission. There was some sort of issue, but our latest release is called My God, and it just got put on YouTube yesterday, finally. So we're excited. It's been available on all the platforms, on Spotify and Pandora and Deezer and Boomplay, et cetera, right? Anything you can stream music on. But you know, there's been learning curves with
Cool. So when this goes out, can we put the link in, please? So
absolutely. I was wanting to send you the links. And I don't know, I've seen how some of your other images are. I'm like, I'll get send you, you know, a headshot or cover work or cover art, anything you like for you know, that. I need to send those to you. But yeah, we got the link available for YouTube, and I was going to put it on LinkedIn this morning, but I didn't yet.
Well, we want to thank you as well, because you've been brilliant on LinkedIn, hasn't she? I mean, yeah, go on.
Oh, I just, you know, enjoyed the engagement. You know, there's some great content on there. That 25 thing sure blew up, didn't it?
Oh.
Who would have thought?
Well, was that the number one?
Yeah, the 25. It's like, man, just like there's so many comments on there. It's unbelievable.
That, and I was just saying earlier to Graham, I said the whole reason I did it was not just, well, initially I did just do it. Then I realised I made a mistake on there because somebody pointed out, and my RSD, my rejection sensitivity, came and tapped me on the shoulder, and I knee-jerk reaction and took it down. And then I put it back on, and then this person then criticised it again. I thought, oh, go and do one. And then I thought, actually, because I'd taken it from something else, the idea from something else. Oh, and really? And of course, on the something else, they didn't have an equals. And I was trying to actually referee my children at the time. So I was trying to deal with them, but via telephone, actually, at the time, I think. Oh, actually, no, I was over at my neighbours and I summoned them over. So I was on my phone trying to put content on. This is the life of a content creator, apparently that's what I am. But so I was trying to deal with them, trying to get that out. My ADHD is just like, I just need to get this done, otherwise it won't go. So I posted it once, then took it off, posted it again. And of course, because LinkedIn won't let you change the photograph, you can bet your bottom dollar, the minute you put one up where you've made a mistake, you'll have like 5 people comment. You're like, Andrew would, wouldn't you, on that one? So you either have to tolerate the fact it's not quite right, which is second time what I did. And I thought, no, I'm just going to go with this, actually, because the whole idea was that I don't really know why I put it up there originally, but then, typical me, I was thinking, this is great, actually, because I've taken the idea from Facebook, and then I redid it, and then actually off it came the fact that related to what I do was that people quite often will show people how to do something in a certain way, and when they're teaching them, so that they'll teach them how to do it. And what came out of that, as you saw with some of the remarks, some people were very hell-bent that theirs was the right way of doing it.
Yeah.
This is the only way. Or there was people that were very proud to say. So one person said, not meaning to boast, but, and then said the answer. And I said, oh, you boast away. So that was clearly, and there was quite a lot of boffins that came out of the woodwork with it. There was people that were wanting to criticize other people because they'd taken it the long route. To which I said, well, actually, quite often I look at other people and think, why did you do that in a longer way? Maths isn't, numbers aren't my thing. But really what came out of it from me was that, and I keep meaning to see the post, but I haven't done it, is to say to people, our way isn't just the way. So when you're trying to help somebody, whether it's making music, I mean, my son teaches drums as well. He's got a little business. And he's been teaching one lady, she's in her late 20s, and he's taught her from nothing through to like a lot. And they're now actually going to see Metallica next year together because they're coming back again. So he's going to go and see her, going to see Metallica with her and a couple of friends. So, you know, and twice a week she books him and she comes. But he's really, really good with a lot of people that are neurodivergent. He's got autism. He learns by putting headphones in. He also uses our sofa as to show them how to play as well with the drumsticks. And he is great because there isn't a set way of doing it. So he works with who he's got. So from that simple math thing, it also showed me the people that like to pick holes in things, because there were some people that definitely wanted to pick holes. It wasn't actually quite central, which nobody picked up on apart from me. There wasn't any equals, but also what it showed was that although most of the people on there saw it as a sum, there were some people that's all they could see, that there wasn't an equal sign. Therefore, were they meant to do anything with it? So from that very little thing, and that's why I love putting the content out I do now. I do the proper content, but actually what I really love is that I've actually managed to really get to know people, and they get to know that I am more than just like my business in terms of training, if you see what I mean. Because it felt for a long time like I couldn't, Graham knows, I was really, really grateful for the faithful people that came back and saw my posts that were my business ones. But it wasn't really doing anything. And I was literally at the point of just saying, I don't want to be on LinkedIn anymore. And now I'm the one that's loving it, and other people are throwing their toys out of the pram because they don't like it. Yeah. And it's interesting you said about you put a picture of a cat on and then people like that. And there are times I think people still a little bit are saying, oh gosh, you know, I put all this great content up and then people like that. And it's like, but actually, if you do the cats, like I've got my dog, or if I've just put a joke about my trainers on just earlier that showed what I'm like, if you do that stuff, to me, that's building the me behind it. I don't have to necessarily share about my family and when my anniversary is. That's me. And so the people that do want to book and get to know the person behind the business, that is what they're getting. And so those silly things, there's a couple of people said to me before in messages, were you telling the truth when you said that? And I said, absolutely. Everything that I say on there is, if I put something on, like I put about my scar, or like anything that I may put on, none of that's exaggerated. None of it's not real. Do you know what I mean? But sadly, I guess there's people that do that. Just to get people in.
The thing is, we come from a perspective of really trying to prove other people wrong in all of this, right?
Yeah, seems like
you know, I was explaining earlier, Melody, that when I first started doing the music stuff, for example, I spoke to PR companies in the music business, and I said, oh, I'm going to put this stuff out on LinkedIn, and they all went, no, because you know, that's a business platform. This is music,
Right.
and I shared on. So I've been doing it for 4.5 years now. The music thing I shared on Instagram the other day, which is all to do with the music side of things. But I shared on there on my stories a screen grab from LinkedIn, because I had a band on called Plastic Rhino. Not a major band, but an up and coming band from America, and
Great name.
with a great name and some great t-shirts. Thank you very much. But we were at 100,000 views on LinkedIn for that interview, right? And PR companies were like, and I tagged in the PR companies. The PR companies were like, "What?" As you know, and I think like proving people wrong about this stuff is fun as much as anything. It's really fun to show to people. Do you know what? Why can't we show this stuff to this audience? People who are sat there in business all day long, up to their eyes in spreadsheets or this, that, and the other, they want 5 minutes to escape into a bit of music. They want.
I think that's what you and I have seen. That, like, I think really long and hard about. I do much of my thinking when I'm in bed, either early morning or late at night, and I literally will trawl through thinking about things that might capture me, that don't take a lot of thought, aren't too controversial, because that's not great, apart from when I put a roundabout post up and then get people telling me I've encouraged them to break the law. But that one just blew up completely. But it's about the one thing that Graham and I do, I think, that is that there's the fun stuff that is to sort of get people thinking. Like you said, the number ones, the letter one. I didn't think that one would get. We're up to nearly 300,000 impressions on that one.
Right.
And then there's the other ones which might be taking the mick out of me, like my forgetfulness, or I think I put on something about my son with his detention thing or whatever. Again, it's just relatable stuff. It's not heavy, sort of like it's usually what I do is try and make light of something that is heavy, so that anybody who is feeling that do you know what I mean? There's a lot of heavy stuff out there.
I know what you mean.
I approach it from a very different way. Sorry?
Yeah, like I was just like what you're saying about making light of the heavy things in a way, like look at it with a sense of humor. It helps people.
I think you can draw people in that accidentally, if you know what I mean. Like if they see, I mean, I don't tend to, my business stuff I do, they are the longer ones that I work with Graham on. But the other stuff, usually what it will be, I'll see something and then I'll think, wonder what I can relate this to. Something's happened to me. So I've just seen just now, and if it does go out, it will go out before this goes out anyway. This sandwich, which is a strawberries and cream sandwich, Melody, you won't have seen it. You may do on LinkedIn. It's with M&S. Do you have M&S over there? I can't. Marks and Spencer's. I can't remember. I can't remember if you do.
No, I don't.
Do you have Free Market? You have Free Market there now, don't you?
Flea market?
Yeah.
Flea market, yeah.
Yeah. So M&S is a really like a, what do you want to call it? So the older brand, like.
It's a supermarket as such.
But it's very well established. So, and what it says, it's not just a sandwich, it's an M&S sandwich. So they'll always, that's how they sort of do it. So anyway, I saw this sandwich, and it's actually a sandwich which has got strawberries and cream in it. So when I looked at it, I've got a much better idea that I think this should have run with. I looked at it and thought, that can't be a sandwich, and it is. And I was like, why didn't they take sponge? You call it white. What do you call it? Sponge cake over there. They call it. You call it something else.
I mean, we got sponge cake.
They call it something else. You do it in packet mix or whatever. But if they'd have done like a sponge cake but sliced it like bread, how amazing that you're literally getting like a cake in like a sandwich, like a triangular sandwich thing. I think that would have been a much better idea. But usually what I'll do is see something that will grab me. But what I don't do, that I see that a lot of people do, is make it about me. Like a lot of people will write the whole thing about them, whereas sometimes if you look, I won't have even given my own answer, or I won't have said anything about me. I'm kind of handing it over with a little bit of a jokey intro, but nothing long, because people don't want to read essays on that sort of stuff.
No.
They literally, so for me, it's just me going, there you go, have a chat, everyone.
Yeah, I love
They
that. I
do.
love prompting a topic like that. You know, like you said, I guess I even noticed you don't even put your own personal opinion on the matter.
Always,
Just prompt
always.
the topic and let it fly. I love that.
I literally will just search around for stuff that maybe made me laugh, or I'll look at questions where I think,
But that is what makes a content creator,
Mhm.
right? It is what makes a content creator, and I think hopefully I've helped you develop that, right? Because
absolutely. I think there's a lot of, I see it with speakers. So if we've talked about this as well, is that I prefer stuff that's more natural. So I don't like feeling like stuff's too contrived. So a lot of people that are, whether it's coaches, speakers, I would stand there and say, oh, I'm not a speaker. Oh, I'm not a writer, or I'm not a coach. And the funny thing is about it is that people say I'm actually very good at doing those things because it's more natural. Because I've heard so many speakers, and for somebody that's got ADHD, I'm literally like, can you just spit it out? Because I know where you're going with this anyway, and you're boring me. I can't bear it. You know, when it's all, when they speak with that, and I'm sure it's really well done in terms of technically, but it leaves me going, come on, please just tell the story faster, because you're boring me now. I don't know if I'm the only person out there that feels like that, but I want to hear people just tell it from the heart. There's a song there, isn't there? I just want to hear people tell a story from the heart, not where it's so well crafted. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. From the heart's always, you
So,
know, and even if, you know, people like raw, you know, gritty, like something real, you know, there's too much, you know, painted up. Makes me think about the meme I seen with like the filters on it the other day. You know who Danny Trejo is, right? The actor, you know. I don't know if he's big in the movies over there, but you know, just gritty as all get out, real rugged, like you know, dirty. You know, he's in all those like Quentin Tarantino films. Anyways, and it's all like, you know, people on you know, with your filters be like, and then you know, it shows him how he really looks, and it shows him looking like some, you know, clean model, you know, and it's like, it's the truth, you know. People want what's real. I think
it's true, isn't it? We live in such a sanitized world. I put that post up yesterday about my scar, and
and
it's funny because
you
of
know,
all.
yeah, and I think
Sorry?
people feel that way, you know. People want what's real. It seems like that, you know. It's not what seems to be popular, you know, for some reason, but if, you know, you talk to people, and real people want to see, you know, other real people, you know, really want to hear real music. They want to see real posts and you know, honesty and stuff like that.
I do wonder, where does it all. So I know I've got two boys, and I don't wear makeup. I look ridiculous if I've got makeup on, and I don't have stuff. So they quite often will see girls that wear fake tan, that have lots of makeup, and they say, I don't really get it. I've got a 17-year-old and a nearly 13-year-old. And I can't help but think maybe because I don't, they're quite influenced by that. And I know many women will say that women wear makeup for themselves and nobody else. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but there we go. Then you wonder, what is it all for? Because like where when you see, I look back and I think, God, I was doing gymnastics when I was younger and wearing shell suits and, you know, stuff like that, and not wearing makeup. And now I see girls that spend way more money on makeup than I probably have in a lifetime in a month. And you think, where is this all going? Because people are spending lots of money on trying to fix their heads because they've been messed up. And you think, well, if we weren't engaging with all that stuff, then we wouldn't need to. And like you say, if everybody could just be real and raw, and I think that's why people that are neurodivergent, people do really love, actually, because we just say it as it is. like people say to me, we know where we stand with you because you just say it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was growing up, not maybe growing up, but sort of the years just prior to being diagnosed, so I was probably mid-40s, so 35, 40, I was concerned with what people thought. And now I don't engage with people that concern themselves with me. I'm not concerned. It doesn't bother me. So I say it how it is. But I think there are still people that are very concerned, and that's why I guess you get very sanitized stuff on social media, because people are scared, because every man and his dog is offended, and people are scared to be like that guy that criticized me. And I phoned Graham in a panic, and I said, oh my God, he's put this post out and he said this stuff. And it made me question every part of me.
Yeah.
Every single part of me. When I climbed down off it, I was like, but it's because people can get a message out there and try and destroy people very quickly. And I've had it done to me before with somebody who had an agenda. And I don't know in the music world whether it's like that, but it's not nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Oh my goodness, yes. And I mean, some things is, it's like constructive criticism. One time I sent a song to a friend, hey, what do you think of it? It's like, I can't really hear you. There's a lot of noise. And I was like, man, I put a lot of production value trying to make it sound like that. It doesn't sound good, but I needed to hear that, other things is like, somebody can say something, you're like, well, that's because that's not your style, I understand why you don't like it, and that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it, like you're just not the target audience, but
we can still learn though, can't we? I don't
absolutely.
My son likes rock music, and when he first said about going to see Ghost, I was like, and then he played them, I absolutely loved that gig.
Yeah.
Like from the minute they said you couldn't take phones in, then that panicked me because of being bored. And I can say that I was not bored. And I love it because I don't really like the sort of music he listens to, the real rock, shouty stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have really learned from him what he loves about it, even though it's not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Like you say, you like your friend would give you feedback, and it's trying to filter out, is this because it's technically not very good, or is it just because you don't like it?
Yeah. Or, but yeah, exactly. And you can appreciate, not everybody can appreciate anything, but, like just with art or anything, if you have an understanding and give it a chance, it's like, well, like you said, it's not my cup of tea, but I can appreciate why you appreciate it, and it's definitely like that with, between, just types of paintings or movies or, music or whatever, I mean, I know I've grown up with so many influences. I mean, my dad, he was a big band man, he did marching bands, sousaphone, the influence, so I love that, it's part of, it's in my blood and still from a very early age, and my brother, he got me introduced to punk music and heavy metal and, and as a teenager, like, like you're saying, like your son, I think there's certain music that's just right for a certain age, because it's like, oh, teen angst, like this music connects to me, like nobody understands, and, and I know that's how it was for me, and then as I got, closer to 20, I started, I think, kind of finding who I am in music, and I identify as like a folk artist. I love folk, just love it, is like Neil Young, things like that, is what inspired me to try to I picked up the guitar when I was about 16, the electric guitar, and I took lessons, and it was kind of a train wreck, the instructor was really talented at shredding, as far as teaching me how to play, I did learn out of all those lessons how to tune by ear, but aside from that, I didn't learn how to play guitar. And I was like, man, I really thought I'd have a knack for this, and I don't, but then, like I said, as I got older and listened to more music and found, like, I'm like, man, like I love that Harvest Moon song. I'm like, I know I can do that, and I got an acoustic guitar. is a whole different world from an electric guitar. You know, it's hollow inside. You know, it resonates differently. It feels different in your hands. And I wasn't trying to do scales and notations. I was strumming chords, you know, and music teachers won't teach you chords because it's kind of like, you know, cheating. You don't learn how to read music and you're just playing by ear. But if you want to jam and play a song, you know, and have fun,
but again, though, it's that what you should do and what you shouldn't, because Samuel learned drums. So he went to a project thing and they learned. He's left now because he said he got bored. But and he said this is ridiculous. Him and his friend were going, and he said, I can't do it. We can't do it anymore. He said, because those youngsters just don't practice at home. It's ridiculous. They come each week and they're not practicing. And he said, it's just it's we can't play that well. And then when it came to when him teaching, he didn't really ever read music. Even when he went there, he didn't read it. He would listen. Then when he was doing the guitar, my friends, a few people have asked if they can learn, but he refuses to teach them, which actually fair play to him at a young age. He says no, because I don't know, I taught myself and I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching. And I just think, gosh, there's a lot of people out there that could learn.
That's the teacher, honestly. I think, you know, I've considered putting out YouTube videos. Somebody says something so profound. I'm like, that's, you know, light bulb. It's like, you know, you don't have to be an expert to teach something. You just have to be better than a beginner.
I know. Yeah. He just said I think with the drums, he feels he can, but with the guitar, he said, I just don't feel like. So I think he's going to.
If you don't feel it, you don't feel it, you know.
It's really funny because there's a lot of people out there that could learn from that. One thing I wanted to say there was that it's something I was thinking about the other day when we were talking about criticism, and it got me thinking in many of my times that I'm thinking is, do you think people, you know, when people will put stuff out there, so somebody even earlier on said on a post of mine, said, this was one of my actual business ones, it was about Lycra, would you go to a meeting in Lycra? And someone said on there, well, are you sure it's not, was it ill-fitting? I think it was, because when you get in your 50s, you've got to consider that it's your fault if you're that way. And I thought, I'm assuming you don't mean you as in me when you're saying this, although I am nearly 50. And I just thought, people say things on social media that, did they think those things years ago? Like, would people have thought those things, but there was no channel to get them out? Or do people think about stuff now that they literally never would have done? Because I see things sometimes and I think, would you actually?
Well, it's quite interesting because I'm going to bring this back to the conversation that I had earlier with that hypnotherapist stroke counselor, etc., because he made a really good point, or we were in the discussion made a really good point actually, which was that part of it is that so much organization that people are within these days doesn't give them a safe space to talk about stuff, right? So people go to work, and although organizations are meant to be giving a safe space and letting people talk, they're controlled at work. I've known it with like my own LinkedIn account, between being self-employed and then employed and then, you know, doing what I do now. My LinkedIn account was completely controlled. I wasn't allowed to say anything of my own on my LinkedIn account. So, which is a mistake, right? But I think if people sit within organizations and their voice is controlled and whatever, that will spill out somewhere. It's going to spill out somewhere, right? It's almost as though there's a kind of frustration point. I think what you tend to find is, if you actually look into those people's lives, there's probably so much restriction somewhere, whether it's at home within relationships or at work within relationships, where they're not able to fully be themselves and say what they need to say, that when they get online, they think, I can just say this. I'm faceless here. There's no real barrier. I'm just going to blurt. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of I
it's
think
really
it's
I
a
find
release.
it, what
It's
I
a
do
release.
find though is that people like there's times I've wanted to put something out and then sort of people jump at you and you just think, well, do you want to just like chill out? Or in my kids' words, it's really not that deep. I wanted to say that to people on some of the stuff I did, really not that deep. I did actually on the roundabout one, I did, because this guy was getting straight. He was posting all rules and the highway code and all sorts to me, and I was like, man, it's really not that deep. That now though it feels as if people jump on something or make your favorite word, Graham, assumptions, because they do make assumptions, and you think, you know, I've had to sort of teach my kids almost about how and when they should say things, which is wrong really, because but I'm kind of having to, because I'm having to say, you know, be careful if you say that there, because if you say that there, somebody might think this about you. And I've got two very different children, one that doesn't say much at all, but if he does, he's autistic, and if he does, sometimes he won't realise that that might sound offensive because he just doesn't see it. And the other one says exactly what he thinks, but he's very, very sensitive, and so somebody might say something back to him. But it does often feel like I feel quite often I can't have conversations publicly now. There will be some people I can, and then somebody will come wading into the conversation. You're like, hey, up, what are you doing? I was having a nice little conversation there, and then you've just come in. Or even people sharing on Facebook, I've seen it, videos of animals doing silly things or babies, and someone will come in with the, oh, have you, everybody comes in with the health and safety and stuff, and you just think, oh.
Well, right on cue, and we're running out of time, so I'm just going to draw things to it. I want to say thank you so much, Melody, for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to
Thank
do
you.
it. That's all right.
A couple of quickies. One is just to show you that was me when I was in a band many years ago. The one with
the white jeans, of course.
With the white jeans back in the 90s. And literally just this minute, just to kind of clarify that point that Marianne was making, someone has on one of my posts, which is at 45,000 impressions, someone has just put, just a stupid post, wasting time of people and generating e-waste, something better we expect from you. This even kindergarten boy will answer. Can't even speak English. Well done.
What I say to people on there when they do that, I say to them, someone said the other day on the number one, something about wasting time or something about it. And I said, yeah, but you stopped. And then I said, and actually, because you commented, you're now going to see that kind of stuff even more now because you've commented. And then they replied to me.
They gotta keep their opinions to themselves on things like that. How can you say, oh, this is a waste of, you know, digital space? Like, you don't know, that might have been the only positive thing somebody seen that day that wasn't heavy, heavy and deep and all that. You know, why for you to say that was a waste? Why is why are you stopping and commenting if it's
yeah, why is it a waste of digital space? You've got to ask yourself when 294 people have commented positively on it. I just feel like you can go and where the sun don't shine. Anyway,
I really enjoy the different you know, ways you say, like the one person on yours, Marianne, the you know, made the comment about, you know, why, you know, the incorrect spelling, the U instead of YOU, right?
Yeah.
Technically, after going back, the thing does say, what do you see first, right? But it was the way it came off. You know, I picked up on that too, you know, and then I'm like, oh, it does say, what do you see first? Okay, but the way it was said. But then you see, like on the 25 thing, I just think it's interesting to see how other people, you know, like me, I like to be kind of cryptic in my comments. Like, if you know kind of comments. Like I just said, oh, it's the square root, you know. Some people, they put the blatant answer right up there, you know. They put the 5 or whatever their answer is. Other people, I love that some people see that and say every number but 25. Like, oh, like it was a trick question. Every number except 25 is not 25. And I love that. Oh, that's the way some people's work. Or like the thing with, how do you see this in German, or do you see this as an English typo? You know, it's interesting to see where they might go with it.
All of that was because I went to message a friend that morning to say,
and that was an honest typo.
Well, no. I went to go and message a friend to say I was going to say 5 minutes, but I thought that's not going to work because it's the same word in English. But it got me thinking, if you see that word, do you say the number in that language or do you say it in your own language?
Exactly. And it's all valid points. Anyway, we are out of time.
Oh, okay.
We have to go.
I'll keep those coming, Melody, anyway. I'll keep all those ones coming.
Hey, can
Ding dong! There we go. Folks, that's the dog telling us we're out of time. We will be back soon with more of the same. So, from Melody, thank you so much for joining us, Marilyn and me. Bye for now.